Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a video about books that I would like to reread this year. So I guess you could ask why focus on books I want to reread. I decided to focus on rereading some books this year because when I go through books, a lot of the time it's like, oh, I just want to finish, either because I want to get to the ending, I want to know what happens, which is of course natural, or because I want to get on to the next book. But sometimes I don't enjoy them as much as I should. I don't get as much out of them as I should. So I'm hoping to combat the pressure that I sometimes feel to just keep going, keep pushing, next book, what happens at the end. So hopefully by rereading them and revisiting these books, one, I will know what happens, mostly know what happens, so I won't be dying to get to the end. And two, I hopefully won't be putting as much pressure on myself to read them very quickly because I will be reading them not for the purpose of having another title under my belt to be able to say, oh, I read that, but rather be able to say, oh, I got so much out of that book. So I'm going to start with this one because I already started rereading this book. It is Rebecca by Daphne DuMaurier. It's a nicer copy that I asked for Christmas because the new Netflix movie came out. Anyway, this book is about it's sort of like a romantic thriller, if you could call something that. It's about a girl who is a companion to an older lady. She's not elderly, but she is probably in her 40s. They're traveling to Monte Carlo together, and she really does not like this lifestyle, but when she's in Monte Carlo, she encounters this older gentleman, also probably in his 40s, and they fall in love. I say that with hesitance because the only person in the beginning, at least, who says that they love each other, and I'm not even sure at the end at this point because I don't really remember, is the woman. Yeah, he whisks her away from this life that she's living and brings her to Manderley, which is this famous house that he owns, some sort of estate or something. And it kind of ensues from there. She's living under the shadow of his first wife who passed away in an accident, and sort of hangs over her, who is this woman? And her name is Rebecca, hence the title of the novel. So I really loved this the first time because the atmosphere is amazing. It's really tense. It's really you feel like you're there. You feel like your heart racing or whatever. You feel what the main character feels. So it's very atmospheric, which is makes it fun to read. And hopefully when I reread it, I will, I'm already getting some enjoyment out of it, so that's good. And I'm also hoping to like I mentioned, I want to compare it to the Netflix movie. So I'm intrigued to see how this turns out, even though I kind of know how it turns out because I read it, but I was 15, so who knows exactly how much I remember it correctly. So that's Rebecca by Daphne DuMaurier. The next one I hope to reread is actually nonfiction. And now that I think about it, half of this list is nonfiction, the other half is fiction, which I think is kind of interesting. I didn't do that purposely. And that is A Sand County Almanac by Aldo Leopold. It is a collection of essays on conservationism. And the reason I love this book so much is because it's got luscious, beautiful language. It makes you fall in love with the book. His writing is the most beautiful prose I've ever written, I wish. And it really conveys a passion for nature, and you really, at the end of the book, you feel the passion he feels for it. I'm really hoping to reread it because one, I want to find some quotes from that I remember. I don't really remember anything specific, but I know that there were some sentences that just blew me away, and I want to be able to go through it and find them and save them. And also I want to revisit the ideas in this book and kind of regain the inspiration that it gave me the first time. Next is a book that I'm rereading mostly because of childhood favorites. That is The Wednesday Wars by Gary Schmidt. This is a middle grade novel about a 12-year-old boy growing up in America, the United States, in 1967. And it's a coming-of-age story that travels through a year of his life in 7th grade. And it's wonderfully hilarious. The first time I read it, I probably have read this book already 3 times, but that's not going to stop me from reading it again. I love it because when I wrote in my notes for this video, I wrote that it's exactly what it should be. And by that, I mean, if you're a 12-year-old growing up in wartime in America, and in Vietnam War in the United States, you see all this turmoil around you, but you don't see any actual war. you're still living your daily, everyday life. You're not in Vietnam where the actual fighting's happening. I mean, you see protests. His sister, for example, is very much a hippie. You know, she's into all the protests in the Vietnam War and stuff. But he still lives a very average life. So it's there in the background and you know what's happening. But as a 12-year-old, as the reader's experience is the same as it would be as you were a 12-year-old. I mean, I can just compare it to my life as a 12-year-old when I was growing up, when there was wars in Afghanistan. I always knew it was happening. I knew it was there. But did I experience anything firsthand? No. And this kind of actually makes you think, like maybe we should be more aware. And I'm hoping for the second time that just honestly, I'm reading this for enjoyment. I mean, yes, for ideas, but also because it's just, I mean, it feels like a piece of literature designed for middle grade students. You know what I mean? Like it's not just a story. It just changes your worldview. So that's what I'm hoping to get from that as well. The next book I'm hoping to reread this year is another work of nonfiction. It is Spqr by Mary Beard. And it is a history of ancient Rome that focuses on the lives of the average citizen more so, not entirely, but more so than the emperors. And I'm pretty sure from reading it the first time, Spqr stands for Senatus Populusque Romanus, which means the Senate and the people of Rome, which makes sense because, you know, the Senate's the government, the people are the people, and it talks about both. So, perfect name. I really loved this the first time because I'm interested in ancient Roman history, which I feel like must be a prerequisite to pick this up. But also because the writing was engaging, it's not dull history, and it was an interesting take. You know, I got to read more about women in ancient Rome, the poor people in ancient Rome, servants in ancient Rome, slaves, all those different things. She doesn't neglect their lives, even though I'm sure it was hard to do research on them since most of what exists from ancient Rome, of course, like Cicero's speeches and, you know, Ovid's Metamorphoses, things that, like, you know, are big deals. Not that lives of average people aren't big deals, it's just history doesn't seem to make as much of a big deal out of them. But she does, which I think is pretty amazing. So that's why I really enjoyed it the first time. When I reread it, I'm hoping to retain more facts, because when I read history books, I mean, sometimes I get the big ideas for the most part, but sometimes the minutia just travels in one ear and out the other. And I'm hoping that the second time I read it, like, I've gotten better at not necessarily annotating, but flagging, going through, taking my time with books and actually getting stuff from them. So I'm hoping by reading this second time, I will have greater fact retention and greater details that I can remember and take from it. Now here is another book that is sort of, this is a novel, but it's more like conservationist as well. It is called The Overstory, and it's by Richard Powers. I believe it won the 2019 Pulitzer Prize. And it is a story of trees, basically, as told through the eyes of a bunch of tree-loving people who appreciate trees, activists who are defending trees. First, I was sold by the language. It's just gorgeous. He knows how to dig deep and stir up your emotions, and consequently then I also became engaged by the ideas of conservationism and how it makes you want to protect trees yourself, makes you love trees yourself. And it literally, like, I was like at the end of this book, like, damn, let me go tie myself to the tree outside that they might be cutting down. I'm not gonna let them cut it down. And I'm hoping again to, with this one, by rereading it, get a couple of quotes, you know, again, because there's so much like little tidbits here that I was like one that I don't remember the exact quote, but when I do reread this, maybe I'll read it when I talk about it again after having reread it. But I remember it was something like, humans talk all the time about destroying the world, and it's like, the world's gonna be fine. The world will survive humans. Humans aren't gonna be fine. Like, if we destroy the environment, we're gonna die. And then the world will repair itself. The earth will repair itself. You know, it's gonna be fine. The earth is not the problem. We have to do this for ourselves. I mean, yes, protect the trees and the living things that are currently here. They'll be suffering as well. But like, the earth is a whole ecosystem. It's gonna outlive us. All right, so the last book that I'm hoping to reread this year is A People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn. Now, this one is about exactly what the title says. It is a history of the United States as told from the point of view of the people. And I actually read this in 2020. So it's been less than a year since I finished this book, and I already want to reread it because the ideas presented in this book changed my life. Like, that's not even an exaggeration. This is, enlightening. It really is. And the first time I read it, like every chapter, every page was just something new, something that really shook up my worldview. And I thought it was really great. And the reason I want to reread it is because it gave me so much inspiration, and I'm hoping that this might be like a yearly reread for me, because it really has such important ideas, especially as a citizen of the United States. I think it's an important read to do, and can't wait to reread it. All right, so those are the 6 books that I'm hoping to reread this year. I will be checking in, I probably won't be doing monthly wrap-ups on the channel, probably bi-monthly wrap-ups, so like at the end of February I'll probably do a wrap-up. Maybe at the end of January, depending on how much I get read, we'll see what happens. But I will be checking in to see the progress I'm making with this, to see how many books that I want to reread that I'm actually rereading, and if I'm actually reading them at a pace that facilitates getting something out of them and not just completing them for the sake of completing them. I'm hoping to read one every 2 months-ish, which will go well with a bi-monthly wrap-up, but we'll see what happens. And yeah, so thank you for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you've read any of these books or hope to read any of these books, please let me know what you think below. And if you have read them, let me know, do you consider them to be worth a reread? Or are they books that you DNF'd? Are they books that you hope to never see again in your life? Yeah, let me know your opinions. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you back on my channel again soon. Okay, thanks, bye.